Fourth Avenue to Techwood Drive, O'Leary to Key. It's WreckTalk.
What is going on, everyone, and welcome to WreckTalk. I hope you're having a great day today. And because we're in the offseason, we're talking about offseason things. Now, usually the offseason is a time as a college football fan, you get to be a dreamer. You're undefeated again. Next year is going to be your year. You have everything to hope for. You got your head in the clouds. You don't got to worry about having your feet on the ground, though, do you? Not anymore with college football, with the transfer portal, with just a larger number of coaching changes, which will be the main topic of this video. You can't even relax and enjoy the offseason anymore unless you're probably one of a select four teams. And even then, you're not safe. Even if you're Ohio State, we're going to talk about it. We talked about it some in the live show. Appreciate everyone that showed up last night for the live show. We have a really good time. If you subscribe, and I don't ask anyone, I don't ever ask anyone to subscribe, but if you subscribe, turn the notifications on. I'm not streaming near as much as I used to. You'll know whenever we do that. We'll do some call-in shows in the future. You can speak your piece about it. Now, we've talked about Georgia Tech's defensive coordinator, Tyler Santucci, leaving in kind of a head-scratching move. And this isn't the first kind of unprecedented coaching transition that we've seen. Going back, it really got bad last year, but Tyler Santucci leaves Georgia Tech to take a position coach job for the Baltimore Ravens, coaching linebackers. And as a Tech fan, it's kind of like, well, if he was going to be the DC at the Ravens, that would kind of make all the sense in the world to me. But he has to be taking a massive pay cut to do this, right? He was slotted to make $850,000 this year to be Georgia Tech's DC at the absolute most. And I would be highly surprised if he's making this. He's probably going to be making $400,000 to be the position coach for the Ravens. And it's probably much, much, much less than that. That would be the absolute upper echelon of what their pay would be. So what's going on with this? You look at this and you're like, well, maybe he wanted to get into the pro football ranks. But if he was willing to take a step down, you think he would have done that last year. You don't think he would have taken the DC job at Georgia Tech. Surely he could have taken a job in the NFL last year. So it's irritating for Tech. We've got National Signing Day coming up Wednesday. Now, Tech signed the vast majority of their recruits, but not all of them. And, we did talk about it last night on the live show. People kind of fall into two camps. Hey, everything's going to be fine. Nothing to worry about. And then people that are like me, that are a little more fatalistic, the truth is probably somewhere in between. But it's not good when a guy that is your DC has recruits hanging out there in the ether. Tay Harris, Dalen Pinson would be two of them that would absolutely wreck Georgia Tech's recruiting class if those guys were not to sign because of this. Now, people have, done the emoji analysis. The, kids these days, they don't type in words. There's a whole new language, a whole new vernacular out there that I'm unfamiliar with because I do like using conventional language. Kids these days are using emojis. So I guess they're okay, but not much you can say to that. The thing is, this really opens up a much broader topic, and I think a problem in college football that's not going to get better until the problem is dealt with. And that is, one, it is infinitely harder to be a football coach in college than it is the NFL. Now, in truth, that has probably always been true to some degree. The rules, the regulations that everyone is to abide by has always been a little cloudy, even before NIL, right? SMU gets the death penalty for doing the exact same things that Texas A&M and Texas are doing. So there's always been this, it's not real clear what you can and what you can't do and who's going to get punished and who isn't punished. And that's a good bit of the reason as to why we're in this absolute shit show in 2025 that we are now, because now there's just no rules. The big reason why it's so much harder to be a college football coach is because, one, you got to recruit 365. Now, that's kind of always been the case. But now you have this added layer. You basically have to recruit twice as much because you have to recruit your own roster. You have to try and get people in the portal. You have to worry about tampering, which everyone does. This is technically you're not supposed to contact a player outside of these 2 portal windows. But we all know it happens, right? You can just use a proxy. I don't know that I've ever seen that enforced, and I'm sure there's 1 or 2 times it's been enforced. But for all, my computer's yelling at me. For all intents and purposes, that none of the rules are enforced, because the minute that the NCAA enforces a rule on someone, they get sued into oblivion and they can't win a lawsuit to save their lives, right? So because of this, and this is really a problem with portal and NIL now, because that's the other hat a coach has to wear. You have to be a fundraiser somewhat too. You have to go to all these events. NIL money has never been more important, or money in your program has never been more important than it is right now. And it's just an absolute shit show. So what are we seeing? And we saw it kind of last year is when we really saw it starting to get bad. We have coaches willing to take demotions. And I'm talking about head coaches. Look at Boston College's coach last year said, hey, I'll go be a coordinator in the NFL. I don't want no part of this anymore. And at a school like Boston College, he's probably looking at like, how realistic is it for us to be competitive? Like the way it is now, we're not going to be able to. And in some ways, Georgia Tech falls into that camp too, though I think they're doing better than most teams that are at their kind of tier. But we've never seen this before. We haven't seen head coaches that are in fine standing at their school take demotions to go to the NFL. Think back 10 to 15 years ago. It did happen where you had coaches going from college to the NFL or NFL to college, but it was far more rare then. It was not a common occurrence, and you certainly didn't see coaches taking massive pay cuts or demotions to go to the NFL. In fact, most of the time when you saw a coach going from college to the NFL, it was to take a head coaching job in the NFL. They were at the top of the game in college football, and rarely did that work out. Obviously, you have like the Jimmy Johnsons of the world, the Jim Harbaughs, the guy that was at the Seahawks for so long. I'm blanking on it, Pete Carroll. They're exceptions to the rule. Nick Saban didn't work out. Steve Spurrier didn't work out. You just didn't see it as much. Now, every year, you have this, the beginning of really a mass exodus of coaches from college to the NFL. And I think that's going to create a problem for college football. So let's just talk about, and this is not an exhaustive list, coaches that, well, let's just look at the coaching carousel for 2025. Some absolute shockers. Ohio State wins a national title. They're probably a team that has as deep pockets as anyone in the country. They have the highest paid roster in the country, probably the healthiest NIL program, though I hear Tennessee fans chirping that they have no one has the NIL money that we do. I don't know how any of this can be proven or verified, but whatever. I guess we got to take people's words for it. They lose both of their coordinators. So if Ohio State can't hold on to their coordinators and avoid these issues, there's little hope for anyone else, is there? First, they have, let's go back. Penn State, elite defense this year, has their defensive coordinator hired by Clemson. Clemson fires their DC. What was that guy named Goodwin? Didn't do a great job for them. Clemson obviously has been on a decline for a few years there. Not a bad team, just compared to winning multiple national titles. They're not there anymore. Go throw a bag of money, get one of the best defensive coordinators in the country. Then what does Penn State do? They hire Ohio State's defensive coordinator. Throw $3.1 million at him. Then Ohio State's offensive coordinator, Chip Kelly, goes to be the offensive coordinator with the Raiders. So there's one top-tier coach in college that you've had now leaving for the NFL. Happened to Georgia, last year? 2 years ago? 2 years ago. Montkin, I think he went to the Ravens. Did he go to the Ravens? I don't pay much attention to the NFL because I'm a college football guy. But another top-tier coordinator that left. Obviously, we've talked about Georgia Tech's Tyler Santucci taking a big demotion and a massive pay cut from what I can gather to go be the coach at the Ravens. Notre Dame's Al Golden goes to be DC with the Bengals. There's another one, another top tier coordinator. You're leaving, you're losing in the college football ranks, go to the NFL. Then Notre Dame hires former Rutgers coach and current talent scout, kind of interesting, from the Jaguars, Chris Ash. Virginia Tech hires Sam Sefkes, I guess, from the Cardinals. He's their linebackers coach, so they're able to offer him a promotion. And some just absolutely drooling on their own balls morons were saying that Georgia Tech should hire Jeff Collins as their DC. And I saw some equally stupid person saying Virginia Tech should hire Jeff Collins. As much, if you don't know who Jeff Collins is, you're not a Georgia Tech fan. He was the guy that went three win seasons 3 years in a row for Georgia Tech and has put us in a hole that we're still trying to climb out of. As much movement as you have, particularly for defensive coordinators this cycle, other than some mentally deficient person with a website, I haven't seen a single person bring up Jeff Collins, which is great. We talked about Penn State hiring Jim Knowles, Tom Allen going from Penn State to Clemson. Alabama is hiring Seahawks OC Ryan Grubb for the same position. Alabama has also, it's not on the graphic, fired their co-DC. I forget what his name is, but he's been in talks, if you look on Twitter, as possibly being a potential candidate for Georgia Tech. USC hires Rob Ryan to become their next DC. I think he was a senior offensive analyst. It's on the graphic. I forget what team, though. It's not on the graphic. Miami obviously fires Lance Guidry and hires Corey Heatherman from Minnesota. So what is the point of all of this? There's a finite number of coaches, right, in college football. The ones that are suspect to being poached for the NFL are going to be the top of the heap. So you're taking out your best coordinators in college football. They're getting burnt out to go to the NFL. I have an article here, and this is almost a year ago, basically 11 months. This was from CBS Sports. Quotes from coaches here. One coach says, I've been doing this 33, 34 years, and I'm like, I don't know if I have the energy for this. I felt burnout. And it just talks about just this mass exodus. Another quote, the most difficult job in all team sports is being a head football coach at a major university. This is longtime agent Lee Steinberg. Of course, his last name Steinberg. Think about how they have to recruit 17-year-old talent, project where they're going to be. There's NIL to be dealt with, which is its own animal entirely, without any kind of guidelines or regulations or rules that are enforced as to how you're able to do that or how that's supposed to look. You have to deal with administration, alumni, press. There's levels of complication a pro coach doesn't have to deal with. The pro coaches have a true offseason. They can kind of take a break. It's not as serious, go on vacation. That doesn't exist for college football coaches. Just doesn't exist. It's not sustainable what we're asking them to do. It's not sustainable to recruit your current recruiting class, recruit your current roster, recruit the current portal class, deal with NIL, be a fundraiser. Oh, and you know what we haven't even talked about in all the hats that they have to wear? Actually coaching your football team on Saturdays. It's unsustainable and it's ridiculous. The point of the video. We've talked about you're taking the best college football coordinators and in some instances coaches, head coaches, and they're going to the NFL. So let's bring up the board because some people want to question WreckTalk's math acumen. All right, winner, chicken dinner. So for anyone that's left a comment, and I've gotten a few that seem to think I don't know what I'm doing in math, and you don't understand what some of these symbols mean, go ahead and delete your account, right? This is the first time derivative of this function. So what have I done here? I have set up a simple model, and this is really based on a predator-prey model. So obviously from my perspective, the NFL coaches, NFL teams are going to be the predator. college football coaches would be the prey. So we've made some simple assumptions. They share the same resources. They are the resources. The coordinators, the coaches are the resources. So this is going to be the rate of change. CF is going to be college football coaches. NF is going to be NFL coaches. This is just another way to write that. You see this in physics, this dot notation. And then A, B, C, and D are just constants. What's the point? This blue line, that's going to be your NFL coaches. They're the predators. Green line is the prey or the college football coaches. And they're just going to start poaching them. My fear is that you don't have enough new coaches coming up to replace the quality coordinators and college football coaches that you're losing. So the quality of the total college football coach realm is going to start dipping. It's going to start dipping, and then that's going to affect the product on the field. Now, is this going to collapse the college football world? No. But as a college football fan, it's unfortunate, right? And until we do something about this, like the NCAA is done. They can't do anything. They get sued into oblivion. Until we get a central governing body that everyone can get behind and a set of rules that we can all get behind that lessen the load for the coaches, we're going to get this trend. We're going to get a decrease in, just quality college football coaches. The other thing you see that I haven't talked about is you kind of have this asymmetry between the criticism of college football coaches and players. We like to MF the players. These players have no loyalty. They suck. They're just here for a year. They're here to get the most money. It's the same for these guys. It's the exact same for these guys. And under the old system, these guys could do all this that we've talked about, go wherever they want without any penalty, really. And the players couldn't. Now you're getting hit from both sides because both the player and the coach can do it. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. I think this is not good for college football. I think these trends are not good for college football. We've got to do something to make this a little more reasonable for coaches and players alike. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Where do you agree? Where do you disagree? Are you gonna keep complaining about my math? Look, I even brought out the DiffyQ book. So if you haven't read through one of these, stop bitching about WreckTalk's math. Y'all have a good one.